Hey, what's going on YouTube? Valsa here, and today we're talking Bahorn and his impact on the flying cav meta. Alright, now I'm known as a degenerate flying cav player. I've been running them more or less non-stop since Season 3, and I wanted to put out my experiences, recommendations, and so on. So a couple months ago I released a video intended to be a comprehensive guide to running flying cav, and in that video I complained we'd gone a long time. I think it ended up being 14 heroes without a single flying hero. So what happened? No kidding, within something like 36 hours of that video being posted, the devs dropped an update letting us know that they're releasing a new flying hero, and of course that was Bahorn. Right, almost instantaneously, a lot of what I said in my guide was no longer 100% up to date. Prior to Bahorn, there were only 6 flying heroes in the game, so adding even one, and particularly one with that, where everything he does works with flying heroes, so he's clearly an upgrade over several of the other prior flying heroes. That really is going to change the meta. Right, so here we are. We finished our Rise of the Dragon season about a week ago. I played Bahorn in my flying cav marches throughout it. Now, to be fair, we only really had real fighting in the Dragon Zone, but still. So what changed? What are the updates? Well, sit back and relax as we discuss as Bahorn has changed the flying cav meta. Okay, just a baseline where we were before Bahorn. We had 6 flying heroes. Ferondil, who was 100% unplanned. Craig and Thea, who worked fairly well with Eagles. Freygar, who was decent. Atheist, who was mediocre. And Bertrand, who was just absolutely awful for flying Eagles. Right? A double Eagle pair usually looks something like Ferondil Craig and Thea Freygar. And I usually run triple Eagles, and with Atheist Bert being my third and by far weakest march. Right, adding Bahorn, it wasn't tough to figure out who we're going to ditch. Basically, none of Bertrand's kit works at all with flying Eagles. The only reason he was there was allow us to bring bigger marches. So Bert was an easy and immediate cut. But bringing Bahorn in really allowed us to shuffle the marches, so what did I come up with? Now, one of the things about Bahorn that really helps Eagles players is that Bahorn gives flying marches 20% movement speed. When you're playing Eagles, you need to move fast, and on top of that, you generally want to balance the movement speed between your marches. Now, thanks to the second skill, Mechanized Army, you open up a couple new viable formations. Right, the first of those formations really takes advantage of Bahorn's Awaken skill, which gives you 30% normal attack crit for 5 seconds after Bahorn casts his Rage skill. Now, one of your other flyers, Freygar, she also gives you normal attack crit, 60% crit for 7 seconds after her rage skill. So there's some very nice synergy there, and you also get a very nice bonus in that this combination allows you to fully take advantage of the Night Rock, one of your few flying pet options. The Night Rock lives off normal attack crit rate, and believe it or not, Bahorn is actually giving you more normal attack crit with his skills than Sindrian does. Now, like I mentioned before, I balanced the movement speed of my Eagles marches. I put them all at a 56% boost. So here's the talent tree I used with the Bahorn Freygar pairing to try and go in as much on the normal attack boost as I can. Now, like I mentioned, one of the advantages to going this Bahorn Freygar normal attack build is you get to take full advantage of the Night Rock. Now, for me, I never really built out an amazing Night Rock. It was never just an investment priority for me. So this is the one I use with that pairing. It's okay. It really is a hero enhancement build with the Chain Strike packets thrown in on top of it. All right, now Bahorn is a generalist. He's got the overall tree, and his skills are really kind of like all over the place. But when I stared at him for a real long time, I came to the conclusion that, he really wants to do skill damage. Now, obviously, if you look at his Rage skill, it does an AoE up to 3 targets skill damage. It's only 1,000 damage factor. That's not that high, but still not terrible. And then if you look at his Force skill, when he takes damage, he loses a bit of rage, but it causes him to immediately do additional skill damage to other marches. And if you look at his foundational talent, the one that you have to take, that also gives you a skill damage boost and gives you some rage generation as well. Right, and of course he's got the skills tree, and so that's ultimately what pushed me into thinking, hey, maybe I should go the skill damage route for him. Alright, now the skills tree is really good, but there's an issue with that in that there's no movement speed on the skills tree anywhere. So you have several choices. One, you have Bahorn just move more slowly, but I think that's a terrible choice. With Eagles, you gotta move quickly. Two is you go down the skills tree, and this is an example of this build here, but you give him a movement speed artifact. Right, Sorlin's Blade is the obvious choice, and this build right here is meant to take advantage of Sorlin's Blade and keep him at 56% movement speed with that buff. Right? Now, it's okay, but Sorlin's Blade is not nearly as strong as some of your other artifact choices. And even with it, you see I had to kind of make some sacrifices here. I had to go a little bit into the overall tree just to pick up that last little bit of movement speed. Your third choice is to pair him with another movement speed hero, and the obvious choice there is Atheist, who gives all marches 20% movement speed. But this is kind of cutting off your nose to spite your face, because Atheist gives you the movement speed, he takes away because his rage skill does magic damage factor, so if you're using him with Eagles, you're literally doing no damage with his rage skill. And so if you're running a skill damage build with Bahorn, Atheist doesn't seem like a good choice. Alright, the other choice you could have him is make him a secondary hero and pair him with another hero, and the obvious choice there would be Ferondil. Ferondil gives 20% movement speed, Bahorn gets another 20% movement speed. You can make those a real speedy march. And that's a pretty good choice if you're only running 2 sets of Eagles. But if you're running 3 marches, you're really giving up one of your better primary heroes. I don't recommend that, making Bahorn the secondary with Ferondil for a 3 Eagle march. Right, and then you got option 5, and this is the one that I settled on. And the option 5 is to not go down the skills tree. Now, I love the skills tree. I would love to get all that hero script boost at the end. But going there means other sacrifices. Typically means I have to use Sorlin's Blade. I'd rather use a more powerful artifact. In this case, I've got the Wolf's Howl Horn with Bahorn. And so this is the build I have for my Bahorn, right? So I go up the PvP tree to get all that movement speed, and this also in the overall tree. And then I pick up all the hero skill damage in these 2 trees, as well as the overall damage boost of strength to strength. So it's still pretty strong. I get the movement speed. I get to use my more powerful artifact. Alright, so that's my primary build for Bahorn. Who do I have him paired with? Well, the choices really come down to Craig and Fregar. And whoever doesn't get choose gets paired with Ferondil, right? So incidentally, both Craig and Fregar will inflict debuffs with their hero skills. So they both synergize very well with Ferondil, so either are a valid choice. Okay, so let's give you the case for pairing Bahorn with Craig. Sometimes when you're raiding enemy territory with your Eagles, you'll stumble upon an unfortunate player who's left their 4 or 5 mages or archer marches outside, pondering the meaning of their existence, going AFK in a war zone. That's gold. You want to kill them, but as soon as you hit them, they're going to start fighting back, even if the player's AFK. So if you hit them with an AoE hero, they're all going to start fighting back. So by pairing the 2 AoE heroes together, Bahorn and Craig, you can just not attack with Bahorn and Craig right away. You let your single target marches take out the enemy AFK marches one at a time. And if the player wakes up, that's when you bring Bahorn and Craig in, right? And then use your artifacts as well. The case for going the other route, to pair Fregar with Bahorn and Craig with Ferondil, there's 2 points. The first is that Craig does a lot of rage skill damage, and that Ferondil, with the build I have, actually Ferondil will do more rage skill boost than Bahorn does. The other reason is that if you pair Fregar and Bahorn together, you can take full advantage of the Night Rock. Now, my build on Bahorn does not emphasize normal attack damage, but these 2 are still going to do a lot of normal attack crits, and so I can build my Night Rock to be the pet damage build, and these guys will enable that, and I'll get full value out of my Night Rock. So here's the Night Rock I'm using with my Bahorn March right now. You can tell I haven't invested a lot in this pet yet, but these are more or less the correct skills. The only other thing you think about is the Amber skill for the Night Rock, but I'm not sure I want to put an Amber skill in this pet. I don't think it's worth the invest. The reason for this build is I have a lot of normal attack crit on my Flying Eagles marches, but they don't do that much normal attack damage. They don't have the boost that like a Sindrian has, for example. And so I want to take advantage of all those normal attack crits, empowering the Night Rock to do its damage. And that's why I have all the pet damage boosters on here. Now the other collateral benefit I get from moving Bahorn in and kicking Bird out is that I'm now pairing Thea with Atheist. Now both Atheist and Thea give you a 20% movement speed boost with their skills, which gives me a lot more leeway what to do with Thea's talent build. Now I ended up going the full support build with the pick-me-up build. It's a really tanky rage generation march, and those shields are super nice for my other flyers, right? Now for a while I tried this build with the Visions of Sanctus, and that does work well, but it's kind of slow, and it's not really on plan what you're doing with Eagles. You want burst damage with your Eagles. So I switched out Thea's Visions of Sanctus for the Spring Blades, and you can see she's running a Golden Rock, which enables the Spring Blades to give me its bonus skills. Alright, so in addition to Bahorn and Fregar, I'm running Frondel and Craig, and Thea and Atheist as my 3 marches. So how do I feel about Flying Cav now? Well, they're still really fun. They did okay last season, just okay. Honestly, the new Ground Cav, Nea and Lian Shen, look really tempting. We're about to go into the Winter is Upon Us season, so that's going to present some interesting dilemmas. If I recall correctly, you have both army groups and long-range warfare in that season, but it's like a policy kind of choice. You only get to choose one or the other. Last season, Cavs overall felt stronger than ever, and when I was with my elf ground Cavs, the Elk Riders, I kind of felt like I was outmatched sometimes against their orc and human counterparts. So I'm strongly considering switching out of Spring Wardens for the upcoming season, just to change up the gameplay a bit, see how I like it. We'll see how it goes, but there's a chance I might try something other than Flying Eagles next season. Hey, that's it, and thank you to everyone for stopping by. If you enjoyed this content or found it helpful, please hit that like and subscribe button. Remember, you can send me your war pets if you'd like me to take a look or review them, and I will be featuring the strongest war pets in the game right here on this channel. Look for more details in the description below, and until next time, stay classy, Belleron.